to my channel. My name is Reselling Polly, and I am a full-time eBay reseller in the northwest of the UK. For those of you that don't know me, for all of you that have been here before, it's been a long while since I've done a sales update, and I just thought I would go through. There's about 10 or 15 items from the last couple of weeks. Struggled really to find loads of interesting stuff to see. There's all of run-of-the-mill bread and butter stuff, but I just thought I'd pick out some of the more interesting bits that have sold, and just let you know what is selling for me at the moment. So just bear with me a second. I'm trying to get the microphone working. You just bear with me a second. I have got a microphone. So yeah, that's working now. So hopefully the sound might be a little bit better now. I hope so anyway. So yep. Right, so starting from the end of the month and working backwards, or starting for the nearest and working backwards. I'll just go through. It's not all in July. There's a couple in August as well. So sales have been absolutely diabolical over the last few days. Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday was dreadful for me. I don't know how it's doing for everybody else, but you just got to keep on, haven't you? So keep on keeping on. So you can hear squeaking, it's just my chair. I've actually moved upstairs into the spare bedroom now, so this is where I'm going to do most of my YouTube videos, so it might be a little bit better, I hope so. Right, without further ado, let's get on and I'll show you. So the first item that I want to show you is this Lindy Bop dress. I picked this up from a car boot sale for £2. I picked two up off this lady. There's this one and there's like a Planet one. It did hang around for a while. I think I've had it about 3 months. I thought it might have sold a bit quicker, especially with it being a 16s. But it still went for the full asking price that I wanted, which was £24.99. So that's that one. These were a pair of Carvela Kurt Geiger, as you can see, size 10. They were like a deep red, like almost like an oxblood red. They didn't come in a box or anything, but they looked unworn. So I listed them as new. Still had I think that is a TK Maxx label that is stuck in at the top. And I think if I remember rightly, they did have a price sticker on of about £24.99. I think I paid around about £5 for these. They didn't go for £39.99. I did have a best offer on, and I took a best offer of £30 for these. So yeah, they were a good buy. This I have to thank my partner for. We went out to Blackpool area a couple of weeks ago, trying out different charity shops, and went up to a donation centre, Bernardo's donation centre, and they had this little guy on the shelf, and I know there's good money in it. Well, I've been talking to my partner about it, and he spied it on there, so he was kind enough to get it down and actually research it for me before he actually come and phoned me. So he come and phoned me. It was £2.99, and it must be a sought after one, because that went for £32.50. So that was a really, really nice find. So I'll have to treat him to a few cans of lager or something out of that one. Next we have a long, tall Sally suit. This sold relatively quickly, within 24 hours I would think. I think it was 24 hours, or it was a day or so anyway. It wasn't very long at all. I picked this up from one of the dearer charity shops that I go into. I did pay £10.99 for it, but I thought it was worth a punt. It's a navy blue with this white trim around the collar area, a 36 leg. I don't think you get as much for long tall Sally as you used to do. Saying that, I did get the full asking price for that. I got £39.50 plus postage. So For a £10, £11 investment, I'm quite happy with the return on that. This was a lovely find. Got this, trying to remember how much I paid for it. I think I paid about £5 for this in a charity shop, rather £4 or £5. And it's vintage. I listed it as used, but it looked brand new to me. It didn't look like it had been used. It was a button down floral. You can see the beautiful skirt. Vintage. It's not something that I would personally wear, but I can appreciate people that are into vintage pieces. You know, it looks, it's a lovely skirt. And yeah, that went for the full asking price of $39.50. I'm not sure whether that went GSP. I think it might have done. So yeah, that was a nice find. Something that I'm experimenting with is vintage nightwear. I've seen a few sellers and resellers pick these up and get relatively good money from them. It's not something that I really looked into, but I spied this in a charity shop for $1.99, I think it was. It's a Debenhams satin, like a satin robe. So I like the design around the collar and the cuffs. So I thought, you know what, I'll pick it up and I'll give it a whirl. And yeah, £16.50 for that, plus postage. So not bad for a £2 investment. So I'm not sure whether I would pick everything up that I see, but certainly I would look at stuff if I come across it. So these were a car boot pick up for £1. I picked these up before I went on my holidays, and they sold within a week. These are Batula, which are a brand of Birkenstock, which are the sandals that everybody's raving about at the moment, aren't they? So they were in really, really good condition. They had been worn slightly, and I thought I was punching a little bit high at £32.50, but I did like the cut-out design on the side. I thought they looked quite unusual. There wasn't any quite like that listed at the time, so I aimed high at £32.50, and yeah, they sold within a week, I think. Next, we have this little Barber bag. I bought this from the car boot sale a good few weeks ago, months ago, probably a couple of months ago when car boot season first started. It did sell once and come back after a week. The lady said that it wasn't suitable. So it makes you wonder whether they'd used it for holidays and then sent it back. But you can't prove anything, because she did have it a week before she actually opened a return request, which, you know, if you don't like something, I would open a return request straight away. So anyway, enough waffling. It sold again. I sold it the first time for $30. And then I upped the price, obviously, to see, because it sold quite quickly. So I thought, I'll up the price a little bit. So I put it on $39.50, and I think I took an offer of about $35 for that. So yeah, and as far as I know, the customer's happy with it. I've not had feedback, but I've had no return request or anything. So I'm presuming everything is fine with that. So this is a bit of a fail, but I always like to put ones in that are not, you know, great sales, because, you know, we all make mistakes, and, you know, all resellers go through things. I bought this from a charity shop on one of our sourcing Fridays that I go with my friend Mandy, and they wanted £2 each. So I just said, how much do you want for the box? Because I know that there can be good money in Action Men figures, especially the earlier ones. But I wasn't quite sure, and she wanted £2 each, and when I worked it out, it worked out at about £60. So she said, you can take the lot for £30. So I'm thinking, wow, that's an absolute bargain. No, it wasn't. I took it home, did some research. I could have split it down to be honest with you, and sold them off separate. But do you know what? I couldn't be arsed. I really couldn't be bothered. It's so time consuming, and things like this are not for me. Breaking bulk down, I can't be bothered with it unless it's an easy list, which this one wouldn't have been, because you'd have to list each individual one, and there wasn't great money in them. Well, I didn't think there was great money. Plus, you've got to wait around for them to sell. So I just job lotted them. I had them on for 6 days. There wasn't any interest. So I dropped them to, I kept dropping them gradually, and in the end they were on $44.99 with best offer, and I took an offer of $35 for them. I paid $30, so there was no profit in it, but I got my money back, or thereabouts. The postage was $9.99, and I managed to send that. I have a Royal Mail online business account, which works on an average weight, so I managed to crawl a bit of money back from the postage. So it's not a loss, but I didn't make anything on it, and I wouldn't pick them up again. So I'd definitely steer away from them. Unless you enjoy, fiddling about and taking your time and cleaning them and listing them and photographing each individual one. I don't really think there's much money in it unless you want to split them down. So I wouldn't do that again. So yeah, I'll just show you a few pictures. There was accessories. I mean, I did photograph like the different things that were with it. There was some guns and clothing and stuff. So, but yeah, glad to get rid of that. Not a huge profit, but I put this in because of the story. This I bought for £1.50 from a local charity shop, and it didn't have any of the accessories with it. It's one of these ones what was quite popular at Christmas time. One of the top 10 toys. It's the Baby Wow Crawl. It's like I think it's interactive. That little flower on its chest there, I think if you wave your hand in front of it, it sits up and it crawls and does all sorts of things. Anyway, I had it listed for about a month. I think this was its second cycle. And I got a message from a lady asking would I take, I think it was £12, and she would collect. And I thought, well, to be honest with you, these are retail for quite a lot of money. I think they're £40-50. So I just messaged back and said, collection isn't a problem, but I would really like the £14.50 as, I think it's a good buy. Anyway, she messaged back and said, yeah, that's fine. I want it and I'll come and collect it. So she paid via PayPal, and sure enough, she came the following day to pick it up. And she was such a lovely lady. She came in, she said, oh, I am so glad I found this on eBay, and it's quite local. Her granddaughter had this exact one, and a friend of hers had dropped it and broke its head. So her parents had brought it to her nan and granddad's, and for granddad to fix, and he couldn't fix it, unfortunately. So she went on eBay and actually found my listing, and she was like so made up, and she said, oh, my granddaughter's got to be made up, she said, because he's her favourite. She has a few of them apparently, but he was her favourite. So a nice little story to go with that. So it just goes to show, you can pick things up without bits to them, like this should have had a dummy and something else with it. The lady actually had all those, she said, but her granddaughter broke it, or a granddaughter's friend broke it, so you can sell things for replacements for broken bits. So it was worth picking up. So, lovely story there. So it's always nice. Right, this one is the most ugliest, awfulest dress I have ever seen in my entire life. It is horrible. It's hideous. But something told me when I was looking. This was from Chester, and I did pay $7.99 for it. And for me to pay $7.99 for an ugly dress, it has to be said, it doesn't happen very often. But I had heard that East Artisan Anuki was one to pick up. So I thought, I'll take a punt on it, pick it up. I really, I think I listed it originally at about £20, and I soon got loads of watches on it. So did a bit more research and found out that people were selling these for around about what I got, £32.50. And I really don't understand why, because it's awful. It's gone abroad. It's gone to, I think it's gone to Germany. Could be mistaken. I think it's gone to somewhere in Europe anyway. And yeah, got the full asking price of £32.50. So just goes to show, if you know your brands that sell and what they sell well for. I personally, if I didn't know about that brand, would have walked straight past that. I really would have walked straight past that. I wouldn't have given it a second glance. But if you do your research and you know, I mean, I used to pick East up anyway, and I have picked Tanuki up before, but I wasn't quite sure that they went for so much. So, yeah, I don't think there's not really much else I can say about that apart from don't always walk past your fugly items because they could be worth a fortune. Do your research and find out what sells. So, yeah, that was a good sale. This was a lovely sale. I absolutely love this. I didn't have it very long, to be honest with you. It went on its first cycle. It was a vintage. I'm not even going to pronounce the name of this because I will butcher it, but it's there at the top. There we go. Oh, Moy Gashley or something like that. Probably just butchered the name, but there you go. This is a market day print, it's called, and it's full of all these little animals. There's hedgehogs and rabbits and hares and, you know, someone having a little buffet at a table. Absolutely, just typical vintage fabric, just beautiful, absolutely love it. And if you're a crafter, I'm sure this has gone to a crafter for making things with. It had this label on it as well. I'm not quite sure what that was, but I thought I'll put that in anyway. I paid £1.50 for this in, believe it or not, in British Heart Foundation. So they don't always look everything up. So, and yeah, went for the full asking price of £29.50. So I was absolutely made up with that. And yeah, always vintage fabrics. I love picking them up, love selling them, love photographing them. So yeah, I always look at fabrics when I go in the charity shops. And the last item is these Nike Total 90 Strike black gold leather men's football boots. These have been listed for well over a year, and I had them on for a lot more than this. They were new, hadn't been worn. I paid $7.99 for these in the charity shop, and I did have them listed at around about 70 odd pound. The only thing I can think about the reason why they haven't sold is because of the size. There was a size 7 because these were expensive boots when they were new, and like I said, they are new. They haven't been worn. I just don't understand why they didn't sell. Like I said, the only reason I could think of is they're a little bit too big for young boys playing football, and they're a little bit too small for the men playing football. So I think they're like an in-between size sort of thing that maybe doesn't sell as well. I don't know. Anyway, I reduced them, and they did have best offer on, but somebody paid $54.99 with postage. So I'm glad to see them go, and I hope that they're happy with them, because they weren't plastic, they were all leather. You know, all this was leather. A really nice pair of boots. So that is some of my top sales from the last few weeks. So thank you for staying with me, if you stayed with me right till the end. If you're not already, please subscribe, and if you click the little bell, it will let you know when I'm doing any sales updates or if I'm doing any haul videos. And please give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for now.